Hey everyone, Regal Reviews here. It is Wednesday, which means it's time for my Once Upon a Time recap. So yeah, it's definitely bittersweet because it's 2 more episodes until the series finale, and this episode really tied stuff together. This was definitely a Regal Believer-centric episode. We see that Lucy is running to Ronnie because the curse didn't break. I mean, we saw Jacinda and Henry kiss last week, and nothing happened. And she also says that Samdi cured Henry's heart because Ronnie's wondering, well, Henry's heart is poisoned, so how did he, not die, or. So, yeah, she's a little bit suspicious about that. Ronnie was originally, I guess, the 8th witch of the coven, and Gothel says that she can still join because apparently this curse that she made, she said that if Ronnie joins her family will be saved, but Ronnie's not buying any of that, and there's a storm coming, and Gothel informs him that Henry's belief is gone. That's something that can't be returned, so Ronnie and Lucy then have to work together to try to restore Henry's belief again. We see this cute scene back in Storybrooke. It's Henry's senior year, and Regina is doing what we've seen a lot of mothers do on TV, keep track of their child's height on the wall, and she's doing it one last time, and it was a very sweet moment. She also gives Henry his Tron lunchbox, and he points out that he hasn't used a lunchbox since 5th grade, but when he opens the box, it's the keys to her Mercedes, and I thought to myself, I always thought that he'd get Emma's car, but apparently got some sweet wheels from Regina. And Henry, Regina wanted Henry to apply to Storybrooke University. Didn't know Storybrooke had its own college, but that's good to know. I'd like to apply to Storybrooke University. I wonder if it's currently accepting applications. But Henry then brings up the idea that he might want to try different colleges elsewhere, which Regina, it's like a bittersweet thing because she is so proud of her son, but she also doesn't want to let him go, which I think, is understandable and not anything out of the ordinary. Weaver then tries to give a truce for Ronnie because we see that Weaver did betray Ronnie, and Weaver gives Ronnie this potion that will get Henry to remember. So hopefully that will work. The coven, apparently we find out that somebody is gifted. And what happens when somebody is gifted is that once their job is finished, they'll turn into a tree. So, yeah, that's a little bit barbaric there. And Rogers tries to save Tilly, but she refuses to leave the coven. Back in Storybrooke, I thought it was so badass because we saw Granny, and Granny is helping Henry fix up his new car and giving him tips and everything. I was like, wow, I really did miss that badass Granny. And Regina and Henry then again discuss goals on where he possibly wants to go, and we see that in Hyperion Heights, Henry wants to take Jacinda and Lucy to this island. I couldn't recall the name, but Ronnie goes to visit him because she wants to get him to believe, and she dumps the potion in his beverage in the hopes that he'll remember. He drinks it, and he doesn't remember, so they're back to square one of how to get Henry to believe again. And Henry says that, he doesn't believe that the fairy tale characters are real, and he says that he's done believing in the past, basically, the fairy tale characters, etc. And when Lucy and Jacinda are packing, ready to go to this island, I guess for a vacation, Lucy finds this tarot card from Samdi in a bag that I guess used to be Drew's. So Weaver then tells Rogers that everything in the book is real because he's starting to believe stuff. I mean, after what Rogers saw last week, and after hearing Gothel tell him that he's Tilly's father, he's starting to believe. And Weaver tells Rogers that his heart was poisoned, and Rogers was wondering, like, if this is real, who was I? And Roger says, oh, you were a survivor, Captain. And I agree with that. I think both Hook, Rumple, and Regina, everything they've been through, they're all survivors. Weaver and Rogers then go to Robin to hopefully, if anybody can help Tilly, it would probably be Robin. Ronnie then thinks if Henry touches the second storybook, then that might wake up Henry, because that's what woke up Emma before, when the first curse hit. And Henry in Storybrooke got into every school he applied for. So Regina is one proud mom, but Henry's conflicted because he had to lie on his college essays. He couldn't tell all the adventures he went on in Neverland and everything, and tell what a great story he was a part of. So he's wondering, he's conflicted if he should stay at home or if he should go to an outside college. And I think that's very relatable. I think we all deal with that, like, struggle if we should leave home for the first time or if we should go to college. And in Hyperion Heights, Henry touches the book and nothing happens. So again, we're back at square one of how to get Henry to believe again, because True Love's Kiss didn't work, the potion that Weaver gave Ronnie didn't work, and apparently touching the storybook didn't work. So let me look at my notes here. Henry, then asked Ronnie, if this fairy tale, if everything that they're saying is real, where's Snow White? Where's Prince Charming? And that's a good question, because I think we're all wondering where is everybody. Gothel then is what we find out about the curse, and I think what we've all been wondering about this confusing timeline is the fact that Gothel all brought them back in time, to a specific time, and apparently it explains a lot. They took them back to the when Henry's about to graduate, and you'll see how everything then pieces together then later in the recap. We see that Henry, apparently I didn't get this at first either till this happened, but Henry is feeling pained because he couldn't save his family, because he's under the impression that his family died in a fire, but it's actually relating back to the fact that when the curse hit, when Gothel's curse hit, he couldn't save his family because his heart was poisoned. So that's a lot for somebody to have on their shoulders. So he's been feeling a lot of guilt all this time. And Weaver and Rogers bring Robin and Tilly to hopefully convince them to save Tilly from this cult. And then Tilly uses magic to make Rogers, Tilly, and Weaver all smaller, I guess to the size of that tree. Sabine and Jacinda then go to Samdi and confront him, like, what is he doing? He has all these different voodoo dolls and that he hides from them, and he then uses voodoo to take that, because he has apparently Drew hostage in his office, so he uses magic to take Jacinda and Sabine hostage too. So I knew you couldn't trust Samdi. I knew he was just using everybody. And apparently Henry is looking at his birth certificate that Ronnie tried to show him, and he looks up a number I believe it's either Henry's cell phone number or Regina's, and he calls young Henry. So both Henry and young Henry are talking, so that's epic. And that is enough to wake up Henry from the curse. It's Henry's graduation, so they're talking about Henry graduating and Henry having doubts, and he's related to that because he's had doubts in his life. And he then says that home isn't a place, it's the people in it, and that the fact that they'll always believe in you. And Henry, the older Henry, having his memories back now, tells Henry to look at the gift behind the dresser, that he'll really need that one. And it's actually a gift from Tiny, the giant we haven't seen since season 2. And it's actually a bean in this little box. So that does explain, I think it was episode 3, it was episode 2, I think, of this season, how Henry got the magic bean to start on his motorcycle to start traveling. So that does explain that there. Henry then tells Lucy that he remembers, and they embrace, and Ronnie is then prepared to fight Gothel with showdown here. Henry in Storybrooke says that, he's not ready to leave Storybrooke, that the unknown is scary. But he does eventually, realize he wants to leave home, but not in the way that going to college, you know what I mean? He then gives, I'll get to that in a bit, when Gothel and Ronnie, apparently, Gothel's like overpowering Ronnie, and she knocks her over, and she's unconscious, and Henry runs to Ronnie's aid, and Henry, by saying, I love you, and how he's always believed, and she's always believed in him, how much he loves her, and I believe he kissed her. I didn't get to see that, but apparently that was enough to break the curse. So it wasn't just true love between a man and a woman, or a husband or wife or girlfriend or boyfriend. It's true love between a mother and son, and it really does show how powerful Regal Believer is, that ship, the relationship between Henry and Regina, how powerful and true unconditional love that is. So Henry is then able to break the curse, so Rumpel and everybody get their memories back, and Rumpel, Tilly, and Robin then come to Ronnie's rescue, and Gothel is saying, her daughter's magic is still going to defeat everybody, but Tilly says that she's not an outcast anymore. She's not this weak person or a misfit, that she is hope, and she chooses love, and she defeats her mother, which she says that she wasn't a mother to her to begin with, and she's able to turn her into a tree. Sandy then disappears as Jacinda and Sabine are ready to fight him. And what I was getting at earlier is that Henry in Storybrooke leaves Regina's essay, the real essay about his real adventures that he would have written to colleges, but colleges may have thought that he was a little bit nutty if they read that he was in a Neverland and fought all these mythical characters. And it was a very beautiful essay, and I gotta say it had the best title, Once Upon a Time. And it basically, said a lot of the main points is you always have home, no matter where you go. Home is always with you, and you'll have family that supports you, and family, you'll be always able to find each other. I really thought that it was a very sweet and touching essay. The story is what, and also the fact that the story makes you who you are, and as long as you have some belief that it will always be magic. And that's really hitting home because of what's coming. I know the once series finale, and apparently Rumpel goes to search for the dagger, and the dagger's gone, so he automatically goes to Samdi because Samdi has stolen the dagger before. And Rumpel finds, I would assume it's like a scrapbook of memories of him and Belle, and he's about ready to confront Samdi. It looks like he's gonna chokehold him with magic, but it looks like he's changed. Rumpel can't kill Samdi. You can see the effect Belle's had on him and how he wants to reunite with Belle. And all of a sudden, somebody stabs Samdi, but it's not Weaver. It is Rumpelstiltskin in his crocodile form. So the wish realm Rumpelstiltskin is now in Storybrooke. So, yeah, things should get really interesting. The series finale, well, part 1 of the series finale starts next weekend. The previews looks like the crocodile version of Rumpelstiltskin is going to cause some chaos back, as we know that he loves to stir up stuff. And we see that they're all going to go home. They're going to go home to Storybrooke, and that's going to be touching because I think we've all, as much as we loved Hyperion Heights, I think our home will always and forever be Storybrooke. So I'm really glad that we get to see Storybrooke again. So I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's episode. If you guys want to check out Once Upon a Time, it is on Fridays, 8 p.m. on ABC. Until next time, stay regal.